This is David with Corel Trainer.
This is Cassie Green from Apparelist.
This is Gordon and Firemark from the Entertainment Law Update.
And you're listening to
Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy, and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
the best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Prepare for the wild.
All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, November 15th, 2024. I'm Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery with our Success Group, and I get to coach business owners away from stress and anxiety towards clarity and confidence. And Terry, exciting day. Again, I know I say this every week, but every week I do really, truly mean it. We get to welcome in somebody we've had a couple times in Jed Seifert, and we really appreciate him. And I couldn't find it. I didn't go looking hard enough, but I'm pretty sure. No, was it Patrick or did we have Tim? Okay. All right. So anyhow, we've got Jed Seifert and Tim Howe joining us today, and they're going to talk about a book that they've put together called INKclusivity. And I do love, like my book has got fun in all caps here. They've got ink, I-N-K. And so I think that's a really fun play on words, but which is all about hiring and working with people with disabilities. And again, we've had an opportunity to talk to Jed really extensively on this topic. And so we appreciate them. But the fact that this book is something that they've put together, I think this is really cool. And we wanted to talk about that more. So excited to have this conversation today, Terry.
Absolutely, me too. And as you said, Jed's been on the program with us before, and always great information, and always telling us there are lots of employees out there. You just have to read the book.
Absolutely, yeah. Hiring should never be a problem, and I also just love how practical this is, right? So we're going to hear from those guys today about how you can right. It like. Obviously, it's a feel-good story, in a sense, but that's not what this is all about. That's what I've really loved about it too. It's like how do we practically make this work? So, anyhow, we'll let those guys tell that story, and
right.
we're excited about that today, Terry.
All right. Well, everybody, make sure you stay till the very end for the secret sauce. This week, Eric Campbell is going to join us live and talk to us about managing metallic threads. So stay tuned for that at the end of the show.
Nice. Love it. All right. Well, Terry, we've got our good friend, Marcia Derryberry, joining us here this morning for some news. So are you ready to bring her in?
Absolutely. She says she has lots to share today.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Morning, regulators. Guess who? It's your old pal. I know I'm always coming to you from some exotic location in this great nation of ours, and today I really am. Welcome to my son's kitchen in my beloved hill country where I went to college, Austin, Texas. Hey, Amanda. I'm going to talk faster than usual. I'm from the South, full of energies. Talk fast anyway, so keep up, kids. I got a lot to say with a special op-ed at the end. So I'm not going to read full press releases, just give you little nuggets of what's going on in the industry, and invite you to come over to screenprintingmag.com at any time to check out breaking news. Stories, our November, December issues. Also, big picture. If you're a wide format digital printer, I'm the editor of that. So go check it all out. So breaking news. This is so huge, and actually not breaking. It broke a week ago, and we did, as soon as we got the press release, got it to market. But Aaron said that no one had reported on it yet. So in case you haven't heard, Fruit of the Loom will be exiting the wholesale apparel market in North America by the end of 2025. This is huge. As you know, one of the oldest t-shirt manufacturers in the world. They are going to be focusing on their basic blanks at the mass market retail. And so throughout the year, they'll be transitioning their most popular brands into jerseys styles, and they're going to be realigning the jerseys brands for the decorating market and other wholesale blanks that they sell. So that's huge. But like I said, I don't want you to think I'm late to the dance. We did report on it right away. Second of all, this is headline. Eric's got a headline. I don't have a URL. It'll be up later today because I just did it yesterday. But this is the reason that I'm in Austin. Is our great friends at GSG were kind enough to invite me to their annual open house yesterday, and as a editor in the printing industry for almost 4 decades, my favorite thing is going out to y'all's shops and hanging out, chilling, really learning what you guys do, your cool stories, being able to report them as shop profiles. And thankfully, usually we all end up gigging around somebody's fire pit behind one of the printers' houses. So that's always a blast. But if I can't be doing that, I love the trade shows, but they're busy and chaotic and loud. And the time that I really get good one-on-one time is when I go to local, smaller events like open house distributors and stuff. So it was so great to be with my friends yesterday. So many old vendor pals were there and meet some GSG local Central Texas customers. We had a great time, and I'd like to thank them. And if you ever are use GSG as a customer, they have locations all over the country and Canada. So I'll be posting the schedule of next year's that they know of. And I really encourage you to go to one. They, as usual, pull out all the Texas stops. Finally, Amanda, I know you're on here. This is not up yet. So it's just a real quick headline. And I apologize. This news broke Wednesday. And Amanda knows I've been out of town. So I am getting this written up and getting this online. But Printing United Alliance has announced that Printing United Expo 2025 in Orlando next fall will be partnering with ASI. There's going to be a promotional products pavilion. They're billing it as a show within a show. So we're very excited to learn more about that, with me learning more about industrial and commercial screen printing on Screen Printing's end, in addition to the heavy textile that we report on. I'm learning a lot about direct-to-object printing and promotional products printing. So that's exciting news. I'm getting with Amanda later today. I'm going to be interviewing Dave from Printing United Alliance and Tim Andrews, president of ASI, and doing one-on-one combined Q&A after I interview them. So stay tuned next week. It'll go out in our e-bulletin as well as on all our socials. So then finally, because I don't want to take up too much time from the experts, that's the real reason you're here, because y'all can listen to me gab until it's time to order in margaritas for happy hour. So I just have to say, I am very, very proud to be the editor-in-chief of Screen Printing and Big Picture magazines. To be able to do my second act in this industry has meant the world to me, and I've had one of the most amazing years of my career. So I'd like to thank SmartWork Media. But I do know that most of you know me from my 34 years as an editor on Impressions and editorial content director for the ISS conference programs. So I would be remiss if I did not mention something that I don't want to be sad, but a beautiful memory. This month marks the 30-year anniversary of the passing of a very special friend of mine, hundreds of team members that I worked with on Impressions and ISS over all the years, and mainly thousands, if not tens of thousands, of screen printers throughout the world. Our beloved Carl Piazza, who was not the founding editor, but one of the first editors at Impressions magazine and developed the ISS conference program back in the late 70s, 80s, and early 90s, left us in November of 1994. He was my first editor. He was my mentor, my teacher, and most of all, my friend. He is very, very missed. So many of the old industry veterans cut their teeth at Impressions and ISS because of Carl, and I know would agree with me, like me, are always going to be indebted for him helping kickstart their careers. Lots of them now, as you know, are world famous consultants and educators, members of the Academy, and we all will never, never forget Carl's passion for the industry and his legacy. So, Carl, fly high, sweet friend. We will never forget you. As long as I'm around, your legacy will go on. So, y'all have a great show. See you in a few weeks. Happy Thanksgiving. Hold those you love close, because be thankful that you love them and they love you. See you in a few weeks. Peace out.
All right. I'm sensing a trend with Marcia's news, because last time she was on, she was at the airport and said, "Okay, I'm going to go have a Bloody Mary." So
I love it. Marcia's so good. We so appreciate her time and having her join us and being part of this fun journey of just sharing, right? And it really does come back to sharing what's going on in the industry and bringing good people together. We were really fortunate to get to talk to Dave and Tim from Printing United and ASI last week. to talk about that partnership, that convergence that's happening, and really excited to see what's coming out of that. And so cool. All right, Terry. Well, what's the next segment? Oh yeah, the dad joke. Now, I don't want to give it away, but there may be a bonus dad joke. But are we ready for the official Two Regular Guys dad joke?
Yes, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right.
So, Aaron, did you know that somebody stole my identity?
I didn't know. That's terrible, Terry. What happened?
Yeah, they actually sent it back with a $100 bill and a note that said, "Sorry, man. Hope things get better for you."
Wow. All
Top
right.
that second dad joke.
I'm sure we'll be good. But, oh man, that's a good one. All right. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. Well, let's well, how
All
about a
right.
little housekeeping before we bring our guests in here?
Yeah, absolutely. Before we jump in, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We still need your voices. We would love to have the regulators participate in our show intros. Go to decorators.ink.intro, read a few sentences, and be a part of every show. We are always looking for new guests. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2 regular guys to book a future episode, or email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you are listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. We would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, YouTube Podcast, wherever you do your podcast listening. We are there, and please join in today with your comments and your questions.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can't wait to hear your guys' questions for these two amazing gentlemen. Before we grab them real quick, though, I just wanted to say good morning. Again, as Terry mentioned, we are second week into a new platform that we're using, and first time for Eric to be producing for us. So, and it actually looks really good and actually works. So I was worried after last week when I was randomly pushing buttons, but wanted to say good morning to everybody here. So Rena was checking in this morning. Thanks for being here, Rena. Lori Donovan, thank you for being here. Good morning to Ramona. And as Marcia had mentioned, we've got Amanda checking in from Printing United. So appreciate her being on the show this morning. I know sometimes it's she's got some standing meetings that keeps her from being here, so we appreciate her making the time to be here. And then I was giggling, Terry, while you were doing the housekeeping. Once again, I apologize. I very easily distracted, but Ramona said I could use that $100 bill.
Can't we all? Can't we all?
That's right. That's right. That's right. All right. Well, let's do this, Terry. Let's bring Tim and Jed on here with us, and Eric, whenever you are ready. All right. So welcome in, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. We'll get to the introductions in just one second, but Jed, you had promised us a dad joke. We've already teased it. So can we just start right there, please?
Absolutely. I haven't come on this show once yet without bringing a dad joke. So I asked my two boys this morning, which one of my terrible dad jokes should I use?
Yes.
And my 7-year-old Everett said, nope, don't use your jokes. I got one for you. So
Yes.
It's a dad joke, but it's from my 7-year-old.
Perfect.
What did the hurricane say to the palm tree?
Don't know. What did the hurricane say to the palm tree?
Hold on to your nuts.
Oh, man, I threw the gauntlet down too soon. That was better.
Everett, thank you so much. That was fantastic. All right. All right, Terry,
well,
I'll turn it over to you here.
Yeah, welcome in, you guys. It's great to have you here. We're excited to talk about the book INKclusivity, but we don't do bios anymore. So can each of you give us a little bit about yourself? And Jed, let's start with you.
Sounds good. My name is Jed Seifert, one of the co-founders of Stakes Manufacturing. We're one of the largest print-on-demand providers in the United States. We do both direct-to-consumer e-commerce fulfillment for some of the largest names in sports and entertainment, as well as print for a lot of other printers. And then we also have a very quickly growing wholesale business supporting everything from other printers to retailers to print-on-demand sites and so forth. And
Awesome.
All
Tim,
right.
what about you?
I'm Tim Howe. I'm normally known as the other British guy from Spectrum Designs. I'm the much less famous one. So I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Spectrum Designs. So I kind of work with all of the head departments. I manage managers, which is one of the easiest things. I recommend it to anyone who doesn't do it already. We're a apparel shop, screen printer, embroiderer, and we employ teens and young adults with predominantly autism, but disabilities. We have about 76 employees, 65% of whom are on the spectrum, and it's an awful lot of fun.
Yeah. Love it. So if you've not managed managers, it's something you should give a try too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Huh. I don't know. Sounds a little tongue in cheek, but no, that's awesome. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate your time here with us this morning. So let's dive right into what you guys have put together here. I want to go back to Printing United in September. You guys kind of, I don't know if it was released, but you guys had a wonderful panel discussion where you talked about the book. You shared it with folks, and I was fortunate enough to kind of be sitting right in the front row during that, actually. And I do apologize for the crying. You guys definitely hit something internally for me. So I guess I want to know, I know what that experience was like for me. It was very moving and inspiring and impactful. What was that experience of that discussion like for you guys? What kinds of reaction and feedback maybe did you get after the fact and whatnot? So Jed, can I start with you?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really exciting for us to let the print industry know that we have this book coming out. It's really describes all of the benefits to companies for disability inclusions and the tangible ROIs with proven case studies and stats. But I think most importantly, it's a how-to implementation guide because, in all my speaking and coming on this show and speaking at other trade shows over the past few years, I think everybody sort of has the desire to be inclusive, but really doesn't know where to start and can be a bit daunting. So we really wanted to make sort of a step-by-step guide that not only kind of walk you through how to do it all, but also let you know about all the resources out there that would really support you at free of charge of the employer, which I know we're going to get into a little bit later. And, we made the announcement that we're launching the book. I will be the first to say that we have delayed it a little bit because we've gone back and made a ton of edits because we take this very, very seriously. We want it to be the best final product it can be so that, it both is most efficient and effective for the individual companies that read it and use it, but also because we're trying to maximize the industry-wide impact of really taking the print industry from behind the times in disability inclusion to really becoming a trailblazer. And it's been a really exciting ride, and we've been highly supported by Printing United Alliance, who's going to be sending out a physical copy to all of their members. And we're excited for the release, which will happen before the end of this year. I promise. I know that we've had a delay here or two, but it's only to really, again, make this final product as best as it can be. And we only got one shot. This is a labor of love for us, and we take it very, very seriously and passionately.
Yeah, no, that's and we appreciate that you guys have taken that time to say, hey, we want to make sure that we've got this. It is important because, like you said, it's a guidebook, right? And so if it's going to help people be able to do more, do better, especially in this space, then I think it's worth getting it right. So, Tim, what about you? What was that experience of the panel discussion like for you?
Terrifying. I'm not the natural orator that Jed and Patrick are, and certainly Marshall Atkinson, I'm sure. He can talk forever. So most of the time I was just sitting there being terrified that someone was going to throw a question to me. You sitting in the front row, Aaron, was actually incredible for me because I could see it resonating. So you were just so proximate to us right at the front there.
Yeah.
But for me, the most exciting part of that is just how excited the industry is and how ready I feel that the industry is for this now, right? Everybody, when we first started doing this when I joined Spectrum Science in 2013, it just seemed like the craziest idea anybody had ever heard. Yeah. And no one had really heard of autism or any kind of organization that was specifically trying to employ people with disabilities or any initiatives that were kind of going in that direction. Yeah. So seeing and hearing from people who are all over the world at Printing United, just saying, we're already starting this. We can't wait. This is going to help. We're going to help leverage our staff that we have. We can help them progress to the next level, and also find new people. A lot of people are really struggling to find staff nowadays, and we're constantly running into that. So the idea that there is this incredible, talented, passionate, untapped workforce that you can harness the power of individuals with disabilities just by making some very, very small tweaks to how you run your business and how you hire. Just small pieces like that, and what resources to use and how to help you get there, and seeing success stories like Stakes Manufacturing and just going, we can do it, right? We can do it, and we can find staff, and I like it because I'm constantly trying to stop myself from saying we can change the world, but it really is what it feels like, right? This is the one part where I feel like this industry is lagging behind, just like Jed said, and there's no reason for it, right? There is a plethora of jobs within our industry that can be done incredibly adeptly by people with disabilities. So I just can't wait to see where it takes us. And Printing United really ignited that in me.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Yeah, like you said, it was super impactful. Obviously, from a personal level, but I love the fact that kind of in that weird little kind of fishbowl-y type place where they had that at, and it was like standing room only, and and not only were people there and excited, but like I love the fact that you guys were getting some like real questions, like, okay, this is all good, we're all here for the kumbaya kind of, but then people are like, okay, but how do I really do this? And you guys were able to answer that, and I think that's what this book really does, is answer that how-to aspect of what disability inclusion means. So I just applaud you guys for that specific scenario, and then obviously the book in general. So Terry, what else do we want to kind of find out here?
Well, I know that saying you're going to write an article, saying you're going to write a book is one thing, and then you dig in. So, when I write articles, when I write books, I always have these, I don't want to say epiphanies, but I have realizations of things that I probably knew, but I hadn't really thought about. So, and you guys live this every day in both of your operations, but while writing the book, what was one of the most surprising things you realized about disability inclusion? Something you hadn't really thought about before. How about you, Tim?
For me, writing the book, it was I spent most of it in awe, right? Because I'm writing my little pieces and sort of trying to do it. Jed and I share imposter syndrome, so we're just like constantly feel like we do not belong. But we kind of work on the same timeline too. So at like 3:00 in the morning, you'll see these comments going back and forth, right, on the transcript, and we realized that we both keep crazy hours and just want to work at it. But being able to read those edits as they were coming in live and seeing this whole other approach, right? So one of the best things I think about the way that the book was set up, right, with Patrick and I on the nonprofit side, right? Marshall keeping us all honest in the middle, and then Jed and Vince from the for-profit side, we're coming at this from completely different perspectives, and we've solved for some of these problems in completely different ways. So honestly, reading Jed and Vince's parts of the book and going, wow, that is just an ingenious way of tackling the same problem, and going, I'm so glad that we can see this, because there are pieces that we can learn from the for-profit model that can help us in the non-profit model. And I think vice versa. I hope vice versa. So that has been an incredible part for me. And then just the outpouring of industry support has been insane, right? All of the different, we have all these talking heads, and we have all these like parts where people from the industry and like big names from the industry saying, this is why this is important. This is why we think this is the next level. And that is just, that like means the world. Like one tiny example that I keep pulling on is Ryan. And I was watching Ryan Moore. I was watching his videos to learn how to screen print. So then to have him write something in the book and say, this is why this is important. Everyone's going to get so much out of this book was that to me says like, hey, we made it, and the industry's ready for it. So that was mind blowing.
I love it. How about you, Jed? Is there anything that surprised you during the writing of the book?
How hard it is to write a book. I don't think I ever thought I would write a book. My mom joked, she's like, I don't know if I've seen you read a book, let alone write a book, and you're about to be a published author. So, uh, you know, I think that was surprising. And because this is such a labor of love and passion, it's something that is we take so seriously. It wasn't something you could just throw together. And, I do a lot of speaking about it, and I don't need to write anything down. I just kind of talk, right? But once you start putting the words to the paper, you really want to make it as it's got to flow right like a book. It's got to read well. You can't have too much stuff or you're going to lose the reader. I think I'm really just kind of learning about structure and how that all came together. I think that was one of the challenges. I think that's why we've had some delays. And I think, but the delays have actually inspired me even more because how many people have reached out to ask about the book after we talked about it to be like, hey, when's it coming out? Meaning like there actually is this demand for it. People are excited for it to come out. It's not just, me talking on a stage, a couple times a year to the industry and then like, disappearing and nobody cares about it. And as Tim said, really the outpouring of industry support. I mean, you're going to see at the beginning of this book, you're going to see quotes from all types of, really well-known industry names of folks, some who have already created inclusion programs, some who are starting to. So there really is such an incredible support around this industry. And, it's always, while a lot of us are competitors in a lot of ways, it's a beautiful thing when everybody comes together with sort of a shared vision of change and a way to make impact. And to piggyback on what Tim said, I think it was really cool to see that, he uses different strategies than we use. And he mentioned the for-profit and the nonprofit, but also, he's a screen printer and we're a digital printer, right? So like you really kind of got the best of both worlds. But what you also saw, while we might have little intricacies that we do the same, the blueprint's the same, right?
Yeah.
And after rereading this book more times than I would want to admit, like, the blueprint is also the same for companies in other industries. So while this is a book that is really tailored to the print industry so that people can see all the roles that we've had people in and, break down any preconceived notions and stigmas about what people with disabilities can and can't do, the reality is I hope that people share this book with all of their friends, all of their colleagues in other industries, because it really is a step-by-step guide just for disability inclusion in general. Just the stories and the anecdotes just happen to be about print companies because that's who we are, right? Yeah. So I don't, I hope it has a far-reaching than just the print industry, but obviously that's where, our focus and target was.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's so important too. In fact, I recall probably was the first time we had you on, Jed, where you had kind of said that was your hope, was you're doing this for the print industry as a way to show how it can work beyond this, right? We wanted to go from where we were kind of, as Tim mentioned earlier, behind the trend to now where we're leading the trend as an industry. And obviously this book is going to be a tool to do that. So kudos to you guys on that.
And the thing is we're not just trying to change the print industry. This is also changing the disability inclusion industry. So we talk about this a lot, but there's disability employment service providers all over the country that will help you find, hire, onboard, train employees with disabilities, as well as train their managers at no cost to the employer, right? I don't know where else you find a free hiring agency or people that are going to train your people. And I think a lot of this is just educating people that these services exist. Yeah. But my mentor, who is the head of business development for the organization Seek, that supports my brother and hundreds of individuals in the DC, Maryland area, has always said that, we're trying to flip the model on its head. And what that means is, historically, these disability employment service providers are going around their local businesses in their area, knocking on doors and saying, hey, we've got employees. Do you need employees? And trying to pitch them on this model. But what we're trying to do is educate people not only that these services exist, that there's a real ROI and that your company's going to benefit. So like, it's not, can you afford to do it? It's, can you afford not to do it? But now what we're trying to do is get the companies to seek out these disability employment service providers,
Yeah.
create more job opportunities, because there is so many employees that are available. We're talking about a community that 80% of them are unemployed, and that's not because they can't work or don't want to work. It's just because nobody's giving them a chance. So to really get people to start seeking out these service providers, but then the other side of it is giving these disability employment service providers the tools to go around to their local areas, to all of their printers, and go, hey, here's a handbook that's really going to teach you how to do it. We'll support you and give the employees. And that's what kind of inspired all of this, because I was working with this organization on the board of directors, working with CBS and Fairmont Hotels and NIH, but there was no printers out of the hundreds of companies that we were working with. And I was like, this is a problem and it makes no sense.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what started even my own personal journey, was that realization and realizing how much of an impact we could make in the print industry. And there's printers in every city. So like it kind of all kind of fallen into place really well.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, it is kind of interesting to just think about that from, like you said, the untapped resource that is available here. I can't tell you how often I see on Facebook groups and places like that where it's so hard to find employees. Like, no, it's not. You're just choosing to make it hard because you're not listening to. Anyhow, here, take this book. Now we can just say, here, take this book, and you'll be able to figure it out. So,
and it's not charity, right? I've said this every time on the show, but we're talking about our best employees, our top warehouse employee, our top shipper. They're gentlemen with autism, right? So like this is not charity. You're talking about finding some of your best employees.
Yeah. Incredible. Okay. Jed, you kind of mentioned, some of the stories that are in the book. And so I'd love to hear from you guys, any standout, impactful stories that, obviously all of them are, but if I had to ask you to kind of pick one that really stands out to you to kind of illustrate what the book is all about. Tim, anything that really kind of stands out to you?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Telling this story involves embarrassing myself, as almost everything I do does, but this one very, very much. So one of our employees, Kelly Fisher, right? If you've ever seen a Spectrum Designs commercial, Kelly is now front and center of all of our advertisements everywhere, right? She's the person who everybody wants to interview. When so Patrick, our CEO, he's the actual visionary, and I'm the fix the machine person. And he was like, "This is the next step, right? We need to have autistic voices, right? We need to have people with disabilities speaking for themselves. It can't just be two random British guys saying, "Hey, we should be doing this," and "Hey, we should be banging the drum." And he was like, "Kelly could do it. She loves social media. She understands it. She speaks really well. I think she could do it." And of course, in my infinite wisdom, I said, absolutely not. No, she can't. That's so much pressure. Like that, the losing control of that makes me super uncomfortable with the whole thing. Anyway, outvoted by the executive team. So I was like, okay, fine. We'll see how it goes. Kelly has done such an extraordinary job in her role. She created, along with some marketing consultants and our head of marketing, Dylan, created a video that went viral and got 23 million views just this year, right? Just the thing that is just escaping everyone. Like, I have no idea how to do that, right? I saw it in our weekly marketing meeting, and I watched it and went, okay, that's great. I hope this resonates with people. I had no idea of the power that had. I've never been happier to be proved wrong. And seeing her excel every day. And I know myself well enough, and I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. And I sat down with Kelly and I was like, I was your biggest naysayer by miles, right? I just thought there was absolutely no way that you could do it. For her to go from, she was baking granola bars for us at one of our old businesses. Then she was doing laundry at Spectrum Suds, which is another one we have where we do pick up, drop off laundry. That's just what she was doing before. Now she is doing all of our social media, all of that, all because Patrick was just he had the wherewithal to say, I think she can do it. Let's give it a try, right? She needs to be the voice of Spectrum Designs and she can make it work. And seeing her outperform my wildest expectations that we could have had from anyone that we could have gotten. And for that to be someone who was doing laundry at one of our other businesses, and coming over here and filling those shoes and just excelling, because she understands what people with disabilities want to hear about, how people with disabilities want to be talked about, because she is a person with autism herself. And that has just been extraordinary for us. Our busy season was extended by 2 entire months just because we just couldn't deal with the inpouring of just love, support, and then orders, right? The business case is unbelievably strong, not just for hiring people with disabilities, but for giving people with disabilities a platform, right? We have that power to be able to do that. And I'm blown away every day. I get to share an office with Dylan and Kelly. So we all get on and work very closely together, but it's extraordinary. And her story's in the book. And this was before we started writing the book, before we even went viral, and before this video ever happened. So that's the one that I think really, really sticks out for me, because it's just, for her to go from 0 to 100 has just been insane.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and you've said this several times, actually, just kind of give them a chance. And I think that's the misconception there of understanding, not just, providing a job, right? That there's jobs, like you said, laundry and things like that, but being willing to occasionally go, you know what, let's give this a shot. Who knows? Yeah, maybe it won't work out, but what if it does, right? And coming at it from that perspective. And when you give them that space, Tim, it sounds like, what if it does work, right? Now you have to figure out how to take care of all those orders and stuff. So good for you.
Yeah, it's a good challenge to have. It's a good challenge.
Absolutely. Well, kudos to you guys. Jed, what about you? What's a story that stands out for you?
I do a lot of speaking about this, so a lot of people have heard a variety of my stories, and I think we often talk about, the impact of the people with disabilities, but I think a big part of the book is talking about the impact to your other employees, and how study after study shows that it's going to, actually increase your output and your production, increase your profitability, improve your culture, and really help the other employees level up and bring them together to create a better team. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. But the story that stands out that I don't know that I've really talked about much publicly is, so your state vocational rehabilitation offices, which there are in every state, and they are one of the first resources you should go to help find, finding people, support, and hiring. But one of the other services that they provide is they will do free training for your company, right? So they'll come out. Some of it is training you, educating you more about disabilities, etiquette, different things, right? And, for us, a lot of our employees have never been around, and never had somebody with disabilities like in their intimate, close circle of friends or family. So they've just never been exposed to it. And I think that also is where a lot of kind of fears and unknown comes from. So we had these guys come out, the State Vocational Rehabilitation Office come out to do a training for our employees. So we've got about 250 employees. Over 10% of them have disabilities, intellectual and developmental disabilities. And this was a volunteer training session, right? And 75 people showed up, which is incredible, right? It was incredible that many people showed up. And for us, they were kind of, part of what they were doing was kind of breaking down these stigmas and fears, right? We started off with an activity that was like break up into groups, and they gave us a list of disabilities and a list of jobs. And it was like, which disability is least likely to do this job? And 95% of the people in the room picked blind forklift driver. And the guy, 80% of the vision with no peripherals. So we took a forklift. We installed basically kind of like rear view mirrors in a car all around this thing to give this guy a 360 around view, and he was able to get certified as a forklift driver. And everybody in the room's minds were just like, oh my God, and then you go through all these other activities, different etiquette, like, hey, if you got somebody who works there in a wheelchair, don't lean down and talk over them, just stand up like you would talk to anybody else and stuff like that. And it was really cool to kind of at the end, right? Because everybody's now been entrenched, they're engaged, and they kind of opened it up to our employees to talk. And first, 2 different mothers stood up and said the reason they work for us and they haven't left to go somewhere else is because they love the mission and they've got kids with disabilities, and working here gives them hope for a future for their children. And that was beautiful. But the thing that blew my mind, that was like really just hit home, was we had 2 employees separately stand up and say, hey, I actually have a disability. Nobody knows it. I've never told any employer. I've never told any fellow employees. But now I'm in a place where I feel comfortable. And we're not talking about employees. We're talking about employees at different skill level. I mean, we're talking about high level employees if you're looking at the org chart, and it was just incredible. And then we had 3 other guys come up to me after to tell me the same thing. So I'm going, oh my God, I don't even know what percentage of our staff has disabilities. And a lot of people don't know, right? And some of them are harder for people to deal with. I mean, I've got ADHD. I don't necessarily always talk about it as much because I'm always like, I'm trying to help people that can't get jobs and maybe have more challenges than I have on a daily basis. But to create an environment where somebody feels comfortable disclosing something that they've never disclosed publicly in their life, I mean, I'm an emotional dude, but I was in tears. Like it was really, really cool. And it's not just, and I think the point of the book is also, it's not just about creating that inclusive environment for people with disabilities, but when you create that open environment, all your other employees can tell you what they need, whether it's a single mother who needs to come into work an hour early so she can leave an hour early so she can pick up her children, right? It's such a far-reaching impact when you create that open environment. Also, employees are open to come bring ideas to you and solutions that they might not have said before because they don't want to lose their job, they don't want to be wrong, they don't want to be judged, they don't want to feel like they're stepping out of bounds where they shouldn't go. But it's a beautiful thing when you create that open, inclusive environment. It is so much further reaching than just your employees with disabilities. And I'd argue to say that the impact on the other employees is just as great as the impact on the employees with disabilities. So I think that story, I haven't talked about much publicly, but I think is really one of the ones that's been the most emotional moments for me and kind of the proudest moment that's the type of environment we were able to create.
Yeah. It's such a good message there, Jed, for people to understand that, we're talking about disability inclusion, but honestly, in a way, it's inclusion people, right? Just including the people in your business is kind of, at least that's what I'm hearing in this. Yeah. So thank you. Okay. Well, let's move to, okay. You guys, Tim, you said 2013. Jed, I know you've been sharing this for a long time. We got an opportunity to speak with you for the first time, I think back in 2022. But you mentioned that, people are at different levels of where they're at with bringing on programs and stuff like that. Implementing, I guess, would be the term I'm looking for there. Any standouts there from people who've kind of like started implementing and what you're seeing from them that we can kind of all take and utilize in our own businesses, maybe? Actually, Jed, I'm going to actually start with you and see, as you've been kind of sharing this, anybody stand out specifically that we could learn from?
So, I mean, I think that we have helped a number of organizations. And when I say help, it feels so like we're not even doing that much. It's like people reach out and then we kind of direct them to local resources where they can start the journey with a local disability employment service provider. So we're really just like connecting dots. And that's part of the reason for this book is like, now you don't even have to contact Jed to connect those dots. You now have like the recipe to go find it and do it yourself, right? I think some examples I'd like to give is really just more like the household names in the print industry, right? We've helped Corny set up a program within their organization and their New Jersey facility. We've helped Rock set up a program in their Florida facility. And, I love hearing Ross talk about the facility in Florida because he talks about how quickly and easy he actually got this set up and like the immediate impact that it had on his business, right? But I think it's also important for people to know that we've got folks like Amber Massey who's got one employee, and that one employee is an individual with disabilities, right? So like you're talking about everybody from a publicly traded organization like Corny down to a 2-person operation. So anybody who says, well, too big to do this or too small to do this, or I don't have the resources. That's wrong, right? And I think the book helped kind of explain that and really help people understand really, again, tangible facts about how much this is going to help your business and figuring out ways you could do it, because it's also not one size fits all, right? There's a lot of archaic laws that don't let people with disabilities work too many hours, make too much money, or they lose their Medicare that they depend on, and the gap to try to pay for that themselves is unsurmountable, even if they worked 40 hours. So there's a huge part of the population that can only work 20 hours a week and part-time. So, you can make a difference in somebody's life, even if you don't have a full-time position open. It can just be a part-time position, and it might not even be a part-time position doing one thing. We talk about kind of a creative employment. We've helped different individuals. So we had a screen printer reach out to us, and they thought that the person was going to be washing screens. Well, it turned out it was actually somebody hired doing data entry. And they were like, data entry? Well, it was a gentleman. It was a lady with autism, very detail oriented, more detail oriented oftentimes than people without disabilities. And that was the position. But with creative employment, even on a part-time level, we've seen that you've been able to hire people and go, all right, well, this person's stocking shelves an hour a day. This person is, unloading trucks 2 hours a day. This person's doing this an hour a day. Well, let me just take those hours off of those 4 different individuals' days so they can be more effective at what they do best, and create this new position for the individual with disabilities, that's a part-time role. So you don't have to have a full-time position, and I think the key message is you don't have to figure it out yourself. You shouldn't. Reach out to disability and employment service providers. Let them come look at your business, and they'll tell you where the fit is. They'll tell you where they have people. And I think it's been great to see kind of all levels of this industry, both on the print side and the manufacturer side, kind of come together and see success stories.
Yeah, I love it, man. I so appreciate you also taking us to that other side. I get to work with a lot of really small businesses, kind of solopreneurs that are taking that next jump, and I mean, mind blown. So, Tim, you guys, I actually went and found it. I talked to Patrick, Terry, and I talked to Patrick back in 2018.
September 7th. I looked it up too.
All right, there you go. See, I should have just asked you. So obviously, and you said 2013 was when this all started for you guys. In that time, I know even back in 2018, you guys are saying, "Hey, just reach out to us. We'll help you out. Figure this out." Any impactful stories of other people that you guys have been able to support, or like Jed was saying, help, right? Just point them in the right direction. You're educating. So what stands out?
We get that a lot. So Spectrum was founded in 2011. I joined in 2013.
Okay.
And I think one of the biggest parts for me was retooling my own brain, because I had no exposure to disability growing up, none at all. Right, Patrick had worked in a special needs summer camp, and that was what inspired him to co-found all of this. And for me, it was all about learning this from scratch, right, and coming at it from a place of misunderstanding, and I think honestly fear. Like, a lot of people they find people with intellectual disabilities in particular unpredictable, and for me, that realization of unpredictable according to who, like people find me unpredictable, just meeting me in the street or letting me on a podcast, giving me a forum to speak. And I think that so that journey for me was transformational, right? Changed the course of my whole life. And I'm constantly in conversations about this, right? Spectrum's quite like high profile, and where people see our commercials on TV or whatever it might be. And then, so we get those kind of calls a lot. And our shop guys are shop guys. They don't want to talk about this at all. They're like, just speak to Tim and Patrick. Like they'll evangelize. They're the evangelists. And I was at a dinner with a friend of mine who also runs an apparel company, and I'm not gonna name drop him and embarrass him, but I'm gonna give away a key fact that will probably give him away. He was sitting there and he was talking about the word accommodations, right? And he was like, "That's where I stop listening." He's like, "As soon as I hear accommodations, I'm thinking about dollars and cents." He's like, "That's the only thing that matters to me. I'm running a business. I don't care about that. I don't got time to do accommodations. I'm going to try not to do his accent." And I started talking to him about that's not what accommodations mean, right? Accommodations start from very, very small all the way up to bigger ones, right? And you don't even realize you're making accommodations in your business. And he was like, oh, no, hang on 1 second. Let me just turn around. You're actually saying that into my deaf ear. And then just turned around and I just lit up, right? Like a Christmas tree. I was like, that's an accommodation, right? What you're describing, just saying, hey, actually, can you just accommodate me because I have, like, you're talking right now into my deaf ear. I need you to speak into my good ear. And I was like, that's the level people don't even realize they're doing, right? We talk about it in the book is congratulations, you're already an inclusive workplace. You just don't know how inclusive you are yet, right? Find those people. And Jed was just talking about it. Steaks is like one of the highest profile disability employers in America, and there was still people in steaks manufacturing who hadn't disclosed that they had a disability yet until they felt comfortable, until they felt empowered to do that. And that's going to be the case in the print industry. Like we're rough and ready. Printers are just generally, right? We're used to being inky. We're used to being dirty. We used to like loud noises, right? Rock music in the shops. We've all done it, right? It's how all of our careers started. And to add, we're also kind of nerds, right? If we're talking about mesh, we're talking about emotion, we're talking about or compliance, right, to the right Pantone, getting that PMS match, right, absolutely perfect.
Yep.
Right. All these are like absolute. You're just checking off boxes right now for people with intellectual disabilities, like especially autism. You're talking about their special set of skills, right? Some of our guys, when we're doing Pantone matching, we'll see it from across the room that it's wrong. And these that has been my favorite part. Sorry, I kind of drifted away from the.
No, you're fine. This is perfect.
But the accommodation part is always the first question that I get asked, because people are looking for an excuse to say no. Like I train our sales team too, and it's always about getting around that person saying, no, I don't want to upgrade my polo shirt. It's not worth paying that extra money to do it. And I was like, it is if it lasts another 2-3 years on top of the one that you're trying to do to save a buck right now.
Yeah.
Right. So we're used to having those conversations. So now I'm having those conversations with people who are just looking for an excuse to say, well, if I have to pay for accommodations, it's not going to be worth it to me. The amount of green lights that you see in this population is unbelievable by comparison to the negligible cost that you have to make for accommodations. Things like, right, attention to detail, which we've discussed ad nauseum, but also just like just keeping your employees, right? We have employees who've been at Spectrum Designs since I started and are still here now, and they've just been progressing through the organization. They don't want to work anywhere else. All of their friends are here right now. They moved locally. They're just going to be some of the most loyal, dependable employees, and they will always be there at the time they say they're going to be there and leave when they say they're going to leave, right? Sure, you're going to have to deal with some radical honesty, maybe, right? But that is a breath of fresh air into the organization. So that's always where I start with this, is getting around those people who are hearing this right now and still going, it still sounds expensive. It still sounds pie in the sky. It still sounds like something I can't do. And I'm having those conversations all the time, even with people who need accommodations themselves.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah, the vast majority of accommodations cost the employer $0.
Wow.
And of those accommodations that do cost money, the average is between $300 to $500 one time. And there are also grants that will fund to pay for those accommodations for you. So there's tax credits. So a lot of that stuff is also discussed in the book. And what we talked about it earlier is we should be making accommodations to all of our employees, meaning, hey, if somebody's short, give them a platform to stand on, right? If somebody doesn't like interacting with people, put them in a job that they don't interact with people a lot. If somebody likes interacting with people, put them in a job that they do, right? If somebody learns from hearing, teach them that way, right? If somebody learns from doing, teach them that way, right? Like it's about seeing people's needs. And when you give these disability employees accommodations, we make it be known in our business, this is for everybody. Tell me what you need to be successful, because your success is our business success.
Yeah.
And you have to create an open environment where people feel comfortable doing that. And that's part of this cultural shift that happens. So, yes, there might, everybody's like, oh, well, now I'm going to spend thousands. No, it's
not.
There's a whole chapter in this book about the fear and all these stigmas and all these kind of preconceived notions that people have that hinder them from going forward. And that goes to the top of the list. Like, can I afford to do this?
Yeah.
And the reality is, this is going to help you be more profitable and a better business, right? So I say it again, like, can you afford not to do it? Right?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, in the work that I do, it is about understanding that mindset. And what I'm hearing you guys say is like, for whatever reason, we all have this kind of, and there's brain science behind this, but I won't get into that. But we have this, like, we're looking for reasons why not, right? We're trying to find the problems. And I think what you guys have done such a great job of, and I can't wait to get my hands on the book too, because I know that's what's going to shout out is, here are the reasons why, right? Like you said, you can't afford not to do this. And
Tim hit a great point too. Like, one of the things in the book says, like, you're more accommodating than you have any idea. Like, how many people have standing desks in their office for certain people? Like, that's an accommodation, right? Like, I've got ADHD, so if you're on the phone with me, I'm pacing around. That's how I'm dealing with what I do, right? Like, so I guess, it's, people are doing a lot more inclusivity and a lot more accommodations than they ever realize. And part of that is what we try to help people understand in the book, because then you're going, oh, I guess I'm already kind of doing some of this stuff. This isn't as big of a deal as I thought it was.
Yeah.
And you can feel proud, like, hey, it's not like I'm starting from square one. I'm already doing a bunch of stuff, right? So, yeah.
Love it. Wow. Amazing, you guys. This has been fantastic. I, again, appreciate your time. You guys are always welcome to come join us as things come up and happen here. Real quick, we were having such a great conversation. Unfortunately, Terry's internet went out, so that's why he wasn't leaving, because you guys made him upset or something. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. I guess the other thing, I just want to thank you guys for what you're doing. It does, from a personal level, really truly mean the world to me. And so I can't be grateful enough. If you could share that gratitude with your fellow co-authors there, I would appreciate that. Okay. So let's get to, where can people learn more when it's time to get a copy of the book? Where can they get that? Where should we be sending people here?
So INKclusivity.com. I see you just popped it up right there. If you go on there, go ahead and put in your information. As soon as the book is released, you will receive the free downloadable copy sent to you. If you're a Printing United Alliance member, you will be getting a physical copy in the mail, and we will also be publishing it on Amazon as well for physical copies purchased. The purchasing of the physical copies is just enough to cover the actual cost of the book. Yep. This is a labor of love. We have no intention to profit at all from this. We want to get this book in anyone and everybody's hands. So we encourage you to share this link, not only with everybody you know in the print industry, but everybody you know, period, because this is something that, as Tim said it before, and as cheesy as it sounds, like, that's how we start to kind of change the world, right? And it starts kind of one step at a time, sharing this and creating these opportunities, and seeing the impact that it's going to have, on the individual, the business, their community, their family, creating more taxpayers in the country. So on the country, I mean, the benefits are so far-reaching, and we're just excited to be on this journey. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys supporting us along the way. This is the third time on here. I'm sure you're sick of my dad jokes, and and you guys continue to kind of promote our message, and we appreciate that more than you know.
Well, thank you guys, and again, we appreciate you, and you always have a home here. So you want to come make the big announcement or anything that you guys need to do with getting this out there. I can't wait for it to be something that I can purchase, because I need to get a physical copy so I can get you guys to sign it. So can't wait.
It's the imposter syndrome, man. People asking us to sign books.
If you sign yours for us, Aaron, then
we'll trade. Yeah, it's I had that happen at a show this last weekend. Somebody wanted me to sign it, and I was like, who? Is there somebody standing behind me? So awesome. You guys are incredible. Thank you guys so much for your time here today, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys out there at the shows and everything else.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for everything you do for the industry.
Thanks, Aaron.
Bye. All right. Well, as I mentioned, solo here, but not going to be solo for long. In fact, Eric, if you wanted to, wherever you're at, if you want to pop in whenever you're ready, because I know you're going to be bringing us the secret sauce here in just a moment. So, we're learning stuff about our new platform here, so we've got to figure a few things out. But
platform's okay, but yeah, there's definitely some differences here. So
apparently, Terry's AOL dial-up is just not cutting it anymore. So
it seems so. Yeah, when I saw the green screen, and yes, we did see that on our end too. We started to realize there's potentially some problems, but hey, we soldier on as we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Eric, before you get into the secret sauce, can you just quickly share what you've got coming up here? I know you've got a few things happening, so share that real quick, and then I'll share Terry's and mine.
Yeah, absolutely. You can join me this afternoon for the Take Up episode 208, and this is, funny enough, on the same topic as I'm giving for the secret sauce. So the secret sauce is a short version of what you can get with me later on this afternoon live. So episode 208 is managing metallic thread, digitizing and execution. So that's where I get to expand is talk about this in a much broader fashion. But metallic thread may not be the thread it once was for machine embroiderers. But in the holiday season, no one's safe from that sparkle. From the basics of execution and adjustments on the machine to the subtle changes we need to make in our embroidery digitizing, we're going to talk about how we manage metallic embroidery. It often has thread break stuff and has problems, but it's stuff that you can manage and make it work for you. And I'm going to talk about how I did it in a production environment. So join me live at 2:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, I guess, or now we're back. Are we on standard time?
I don't know. We don't have to do that.
Terry always gets me. It's Mountain Time. So if you're in the Mountain Chain, you know what time it is. We'll time the 9-1. But head over to ericcampbell.com and click the Take Up tab to get to the YouTube channel, and you can get that at 2:30 p.m. Mountain. The other big thing to let you guys know, I have classes already on the books, but there are more on the books for Impressions Expo in January, including the Technique Toolkit coming back, and we are doing this about mascot embroidery. It is similar to what we did last year. So you're going to have me and Joe and Justin, Joe bringing all of that incredible knowledge of thread and of applique and his commercial retail work, Justin with his 3D foam work, and then me coming in, breaking down some digitizing essentials. That's going to be there too. Not everything has been listed yet, but we have that and potentially a special guest for the Technique Toolkit. So really tune in. There's some cool stuff coming in January, and I'm glad to be back on the road with you guys soon.
Awesome. Love to see you back out there, Eric. All right. Well, for Terry, he's got his next class coming up at Workhorse Products, his complete screen printing business course. And you can catch him in Phoenix, February 1st through the 2nd. Yes, go to Phoenix in February, by the way, everyone. It's a good time to be there. And so check that out, February 1st, Workhorse Products. And then he will be in Chicago at Atlas Screen Supply, March 15th and 16th. Terry will also be talking about DTG and DTF printing, kind of helping you determine which technology is for you at the Impressions Long Beach show in January. So you can watch for all of his upcoming events over there at terrycombs.com and make sure that you see him. Terry's always, you can always notice him by his laugh. I've had a lot of people tell me they always know where Terry's at because you can hear his laugh. So I think that's pretty cool.
That's true.
And then for me, actually, I say every Saturday at noon Central, but this Saturday, we will be going a little bit later at 2:00. I do a program called Small Business Saturdays, and you can find that at my YouTube channel at liveosg.com. So I happen to be doing it at 2 because in the morning I get to go to my local library, talk about imposter syndrome, Tim and Jed. I get to go to my local library and be part of a local author showcase. I was like, what? Nice. Okay, interesting. With real authors. This is pretty cool. So anyhow, Saturday, Small Business Saturdays, noon Central Time. And this week, actually talking about customer service and what that means, especially as we kind of head a little deeper into the holiday season here. Customer service is one of those things that, it can become a challenge. And, you want to just tell everybody to leave you the heck alone. So we're going to give you some tips and ideas and some ways to maybe look at that a little bit differently and how you can kind of manage that. So, and then the other thing for me is I just really enjoy working with folks to understand kind of who they are and what that means for their business and how they can be in alignment. And I know a lot of people out there are stuck or overwhelmed and maybe just feeling like they're going through the motions. And what I've discovered is that really is a sign that it's time to get back in alignment with who you are. And I believe that our strengths, values, and passions really can kind of be a guidepost to that. So what I do is a 30-minute strategy call with them after a quick little assessment. And it's something that I just love doing because I find it so fulfilling to see people kind of light up when they realize that they're on the right path. They're just kind of not understanding why. And so once they get in alignment with that, the path just kind of opens up for them. So if you head over to osg.link/SVP, you can book your free assessment there. No strings. I always joke that I'm a terrible salesperson, so why would I even try to sell you something? Just see if this is something that'll open up a door for you. And I believe a rising tide lifts all boats. So, and then the last thing I wanted to share, Eric, was we've got a growing but small, really intimate Facebook group that we love talking about business ownership beyond just our everyday challenges, like kind of what's some of the mindset to that. So we call it the Entrepreneur Success Hub. And if you'll go to osg.link/group, you can become part of that group. Just make sure when you go over there and you check, I don't need you to fill in all the information that is on there. I don't need your email address. You can add all that stuff if you want to join our email list and stuff like that. I just need you to check the rules. And our rules are pretty standard, just be a good person. So that will let you in right away. And that's it for me, Eric.
Nice.
You ready for a little secret sauce here?
Yeah, why not? I think we've got something that's worthwhile, and I definitely have been fielding some questions lately about those cantankerous threads that end up in all sorts of holiday stuff. So let's get into it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, folks. And for today's secret sauce, we have managing metallic threads. With the holidays fast approaching, it is the season for running metallics. They may not be a seasonal favorite for us, but they are for our customers sometimes. And they can cause some technical headaches, particularly if a customer doesn't like the easier to run modern coated metallics that have relatively recently entered the scene. Old school metallics have been a classic for everything from monograms to military badges. Anything meant to shine or shimmer often calls for that metallic thread. Constructed of a core wrapped in various metallic colored foils and films, these complex threads can be prone to breakage, bird nesting, and tension troubles. The following 5 tips, however, can make working with them a much less stressful experience. So the first one is fight the friction. Keep your thread path clean and clear, and digitize balanced densities, lighter densities, so as to avoid metallic thread binding as it's pushed through dense parts of your design. Use a needle with a larger eye if stitching with any of the thicker metallics. Also, you'll find that it really does make a difference how much friction we submit this stuff to. Certainly, you can't avoid all of it, but you can fight some of it back. Some people have also said, and I've found myself, that you can find lubricating your needle with clear lubricants like non-stain silicone sprays made for the task can really help keep fraying at bay a bit. Next thing we have to do is tame the tension. The rougher texture and thus the extra friction that's natural for metallics, especially old school metallics, may mean you need to loosen your upper tension a bit. There are different thoughts on this in the market. It really does depend on the thread. So think about that, but do realize that tension can be part of your issue, especially with increased friction. Coupled that with the tendency of some metallics to stretch and spring. Some of them are very springy, very stretchy, and you might see that managing tension becomes a problem for you. Use gauges, use the tensions that are shown on your thread vendor's website. That's a good place to start. And also, you can always do the simple satin stitch test. The back of a minimum width satin stitch should be about a third top thread, a third bobbin, and a third top thread in stripes to make sure your tension's even. So check a wide satin and see how that does. Your standard Fox test, which many of you may know from the embroidery world, can certainly help that without having to necessarily get out the gauges. And the next thing is to keep the kinks away. Metallic thread likes to kink and twist on itself, creating loops and bends that are sure to tangle and break when they hit a tight spot in the thread path. Every embroiderer seems to have their own way of combating this. Some of these sound a little goofy at the outset, admittedly. Some of the basic stuff, lengthening the distance between the spool and the machine by using a thread tree that lets that thread relax over a longer span instead of just into the normal thread path. That's something I've seen with external cone holders. Hanging a heavy paper clip or a weight from the thread between 2 points in the thread tree, I've also seen literally just to pull it down. Even to passing that thread through a styrofoam packing peanut or another sacrificial item, like a lubed piece of felt, has been seen as well as a way to keep those kinks from getting all the way down to the needle. There is a theory between on these techniques. It's just physically preventing the thread from twisting on itself and straightening out those kinks. Just remember that they will impart some extra tension, and you might want to check that out before you run anything. Next is to slow your stitching. As speed increases, so does tension and stress. If you are running at the absolute max that you can, the chances of problems are going to just increase. So roll back your stitches per minute a little bit, and it might lighten the load on the more fragile metallics if you're having trouble. And last but not least whatsoever, find a favorite thread. Not all metallics are made equal and not are suited for every use. We're running on incredibly coarse materials or something that is likely to cause more friction. We're using a really friable, easily broken old school metallic thread. You may really try and push something that's going to hold up a little better. The newer coated metallics can make a massive difference, even though they do look a little bit different as far as the highlight and shine. But even among those classic metallics, your results may vary from thread brand to thread brand. Test the metallic threads on your machine or for your particular combination of materials when you can. Some combinations are easier to run with than others, and if those are the ones you offer the customer first, there's a load of customers who are not going to come to you and say that metallic's not the right sparkle. They just want gold metallic, silver metallic, or a color metallic to get that extra highlight. They may not even know that there's the other option. Save yourself the headache and promote the kind of threads that run the best for you. All in all, though, metallics just need a little TLC to run well and stay steady. Take it easy and give both yourself and your threads some slack. And that's my secret sauce.
Awesome. Love it, Eric. Great secret sauce there. Thank you for clearing that up. And like you said, if you guys want to go get the 201, probably 501 level, actually, knowing you, Eric, which is always so amazing how giving you are of all of your information here. Check that out this afternoon on the Take Up. And again, that's 2:30 Mountain Time, and just go to ericccampbell.com. So
yeah, absolutely.
Eric, great show today.
Man.
Appreciate Jed and Tim's time first and foremost, but then appreciate what they're doing along with their co-authors there. Really, really amazing stuff. And I know I've said this before, but I just want to keep reminding people this is not just the feel good story of it. Like Jed has said, there's actual business sense. So take out anything, disabilities, whatever label you want to put on that, and just look at this as a guide as to better way to run your business from an inclusivity point across the board. And you're going to take something out of this. So, just Eric's got the link up there one more time. It's INK, and then inclusivity.com to go get on that list. Get on that list, and you're going to get a free copy of the book. I mean, come on, it's a book with amazing information in it. Just get a free copy, and then
absolutely
you guys go and buy and support and just help spread this message out there. So,
well, and I'm going to say, from being on the shop floor, this is absolutely the truth. We had people with various abilities and differences, and people have things they can do that you may not expect. And if you don't give them the shot, I don't know how you'll ever know, frankly. But on the floor, this works. I've seen it. Lots of us have seen it, and seeing them get out there in front of it and promote it at so many different levels is really inspiring. So Thank you again, guys.
Yep. And Eric, thank you for what you do, getting this all together, making it as smooth as we possibly can when we try to throw lots of curveballs at you. Just the way they go. So
hey, it works.
All right. Well, Eric, next week we're going to have our friend Lori Donovan joining us to talk about navigating some switches in software when it comes to sublimation, specifically around the Sawgrass platform, which she's an ambassador for. But you're going to get lots of good information from Lori, just kind of about all of that. And certainly, like I said, plenty of Sawgrass users out there for sure. But even if you're not a Sawgrass user, you're going to be able to take something from this show next week. So I'm looking forward to it, Eric.
Absolutely. It's getting back to your home territory again. We're going to be on Sublimation World for a bit. And that's somewhere I've spent some time too. So very glad to have Lori back in.
Yeah. Got everyone to go back to those digital technologies,
Why not? We like to get into it once in a while.
That's right.
All right, folks. Well, this has been a great one. But until then, I'm Eric Campbell standing in for Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the two regular guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.